Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Paul's Collectibles. Like many of you, I was glued to the Mandalorian streaming service on Disney Plus for the 2 seasons it was out, and I can't wait for the 3rd season. Late during the 2nd season, 2 of the characters dress as tank drivers to infiltrate an Imperial facility. This new trooper was entirely new for the Mandalorian series and was based on a green decoration. I looked closely at the costume and I realized that the uniform was simply the Mud Trooper from Solo: A Star Wars Story, the helmet was simply the Turbo Tank Driver painted green, and the belt was the Stormtrooper belt. And I thought to myself, this is a great figure, and I have to make one. So I picked up number 78 in the Black Series, the Han Solo in Mimban outfit, because he's dressed as a Mud Trooper, and that would be the basis upon which I would make my custom figure. Now this figure comes with a number of accessories and items that are on the uniform that you don't actually need, such as the helmet and the cape and such. I got the reissue of the Hovertank Driver, which has the helmet piece that I would need. The rest of the trooper is just going to be put by the side to do something else with. Now, to get the heads or the other pieces sometimes off of these troopers, you have to soften the plastic a little bit. I'm lucky enough that I live in Arizona and can run the hot water over them until they get just soft enough to pop their heads off or pop them back on. And you have to use tongs or something like that so you don't burn your fingers. First, the trooper's head came off, the Hovertank Driver, and second, Han Solo's head had to come off so that they could eventually be switched. As you can see, the neck peg came out as well, so I had to put that back in. And a custom fitting seems that it's going to work just fine. And afterwards, I ended up with these Frankenstein hybrids. I moved the figures and all of my materials into the garage workspace and got out some greens and some black and some gray paint. I started off by putting a little bit of black paint on a paper plate so that I could use it as a palette. Then I painted the neck of the Mimban Mud Trooper black because it was flesh colored, and the trooper that I'm trying to make has a black neck seal. I also checked the color of the figure versus the picture from the TV series, and I was surprised to find that it was exactly the same color. I was prepared for hours of painting an entire figure, and it turns out I only have to paint the helmet. I took some green and some gray and dabbed them into the paper plate and started mixing them around. The key here is just to simply start with a lighter color and add a darker color until you get to the proper consistency and the proper color that you're going for to paint the figure. I then popped the head back onto the figure after painting the underside of the helmet and began meticulously and carefully painting the helmet. Now, you can dab different shades of the greens that you have made from the plate and paint them onto the helmet, because this helmet doesn't have a very uniform color on it, and the idea was to get different shades mixed into each other so that they had that weathered look that would be authentic from the TV show. When that was done and I was happy with what I had accomplished, I cleaned off my brush and I let it sit and dry for just a couple of minutes. Then I took some toothpicks and I dabbed them into almost an all black mixture of the paint, and I very carefully painted in the black details on the helmet around the brow and on the sides and on the back. I kept checking the picture to make sure that it was as accurate as I could get it with my patience and ability level. Then, after the paint dried for just a little bit but was still a little damp, I wet brushed it to get out any brush strokes and to give it a little bit more of a sheen and to make it look like it was one clear coat. And then I dabbed that water off, and there's the finished result. The paint dried a little darker than I had hoped for, but after getting it all done, I was satisfied with what I had and Here it is next to my previous custom and in its permanent home. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you on the next episode.